you've since reconnected?
No, I'm grieving the loss of him living, which sometimes when I talk to men that have lost their fathers, we've had this, not in a debate way, but like we can feel each other's pain of losing a father to death and then losing a father still living and not having that connection, and equally can hurt.
Those extremes and less extreme, I can also relate to like losing and grieving a part of a father, my father, that I'll never have, you know.
Yeah.
Grieving, it's like cutting the umbilical cord of like, just really like, got to kill your parents.
Yes.
You got to sever that need of wanting and striving to get something from them that you know is crucial to your existence, but you're never going to get.
Yeah. But then you give it to yourself.
Yeah.
And you become mum and dad.
Can we ever give it to ourselves?
I believe we can. I really believe we can. Yeah, I really believe that we can become the father and the mother for ourselves. Yeah. And actually, funny enough, we were having this conversation because correspondence stopped with my father 4 years ago. We've had a very difficult relationship since I was 11. But he has also given me a gift, right? Like, I wouldn't be here helping men if it wasn't for the wounding that I've had. You know, probably one of my biggest wounds was my relationship with my father. And I think when you step up into serving men, you know this, you hold that father energy in a way. Yeah, you're not trying to be their dad. You're not trying to reparent them, so to speak. You're just trying to hold that the best you know, healthy father energy inside of yourself.
Yeah.
And I think since the absence of my father again, because it's been periods where he kind of came and went, it got very abusive, and I had to say no more, but not in a pushing away, but more of a respectful of this guy that lives inside of me. You know, Daisy turned to me and she said, you've shown up better for yourself and for him more than you ever have since that time. And I really believe that, you know. I chat to my inner child and I'm like, hey, what do you want to do today? Shall we, you know, go for a walk in the forest? Or he wants a bit more play or a bit more dance, or
Beautiful. Yeah, it's so vibrant in our times where the elders, that I always have this thing about going back to us as kids and what was our story about the men in our communities. Who would we go to for advice? And I think if most people I grew up with were honest, there wasn't anyone really. It was very much like a kids are kids. Now it's a very separate existence. You wouldn't know your parents, your friend's parents. So on that, your dad, you were communicating, but just was this on the phone and from a distance?
Over the years, we've had very broken communication. We've had periods of kind of getting along and then periods of not. But this is a pattern going back to my childhood where he'd kind of pick me up and he'd drop my sister, and then he'd pick my sister up and drop me. And so he could never, for some reason, hold the relationships down with both of us. So throughout the years it danced between us, but I didn't live with him since I was 11 years old, and it got to the point 2020 when I nearly lost my right eye in a surfing accident, and he didn't pick up the phone, that I was like, okay, this is enough now. Yeah, because if we're not going to be there for each other in times of like quite desperate medical need, we're probably only going to see each other at funerals or weddings. And actually the last time I saw him was at my granddad's funeral last year. So and he said 2 words to me. So, you know, I send him so much love. I don't blame him. I did for a long, long time. But I look at his childhood, and I've done so many processes on the father wound now in the men's arenas and the men's work that we do, and I'm so thankful for the men that have held space for me in that process. But I totally understand. I mean, you witnessed one of them when I did the lineage piece of my grandfather, great grandfather, etc. So I can really, I've got a picture of him at home that sits on my altar, and underneath it I've got the words compassion.
Wow.
Yeah, and
That is amazing. Let's just pause there, because that's fucking incredible.
Thank you.
Like that's it right there, right?
Yeah. It's taken me a long time to get there, though. I remember the first piece of men's work that I did with my father, and my fist was so clenched that I had to physically, because I went to such a level of cathartic release of the pain that I had felt and the rage of what I needed to say in that piece of work. It was a piece of carpet work. And my right fist was so clenched I had to physically unclench it. Like it had gone into like spasm almost. And that just showed me like how much was stored in the body. And this is why for me embodiment is so key. And if I look back at my years of meditating, when my nervous system was fried and I was early on the journey, this hand was always clenching more on my right knee than my left, which of course is the masculine side of the body. So it was like, it was gripping for something. There was still that potent energy deep down in the body that no matter how much you meditated, it still lays there. And so for me, that golden union of top-down meditation, psychological understanding, knowledge is brilliant, but bottom-up, really feeling the body, the myofascia, opening it up, listening to it, body work. That to me is the golden union.